ballots are being counted. The final game that doesn't count for the Orange this season, closing the exhibition campaign against crosstown neighbor Moyne in a decision that pits the Heights.
I felt really confident about the team we had. We had come off of a year before where we lost in a championship game, and with a lot of returners. Lawrence Perrigan, going into his senior year, felt he could be an All-American, and we had a scrimmage game with Mercyhurst on the Saturday before that Tuesday Syracuse game, and we played awful. We were destroyed in every way, and we really looked at that tape and kind of evaluated the Mercyhurst scrimmage game and compared it to the type of team we had the year before. And our approach going into Syracuse was one of which, let's just get this game over with. We haven't really found much value in the game, the exhibition game in the past. We've been losing every year. We just got beat by Mercyhurst. Let's go out there, and as far as a video and preparation for Syracuse, I showed one clip from the year before where Johnny Flynn fell down and 3 Moyne guys were on the ground, and we all ran over the other 2 and picked up Johnny first. And I said, no matter what, when we go out there today, I want us to compete and I want us to fight. And I don't want us going around there looking around, taking pictures of the dome and, putting those Syracuse guys up on a pedestal. Let's compete. And that's the only thing we took going into the game as far as approach. Well, it's an interesting story because we had played well in the first half, and I really was disappointed that we didn't have the lead at halftime. I remember taking my jacket off, and I was in the hallway, and my father, who was the assistant coach at the time, looked at me and said, "Hey, if I told you were going to be down 5 at halftime, would you be this upset to go in and talk to your team?" And I was like, "Yeah, no, you're right. We're only down 5." And he said, you need to go in there with a much better attitude in talking to your team, because we're in a great position. We played great. So that little self-check that I got, I went in and I kind of relayed that to the team. I said, the one thing, the big mistake we made in the first half is when we had the lead, we looked up at the scoreboard and thought we shouldn't have it. And I said, this half, when we go out there, when we get the lead, I don't want us to look up at that scoreboard and feel like we shouldn't have it. Anytime you get in a game where you feel you can win, amazing things happen in that game. We called plays that we hadn't even put in yet. At that point in November. There were plays that were isolation plays that we put in the second half of the season the year before to really get Lawrence the ball in a situation where he had some space where he could create. It wasn't something that we would have had in, but I can remember feeling like we needed a basket, we needed to isolate Lawrence, so we called a play, and I can remember looking, and guys on the bench the freshmen were looking at each other like, I don't know that play. And the guy, Damani, I can remember him looking at me, just nodding his head. We had just a quiet confidence about us. Guys were just making eye contact, and we were doing some things that, let's look for the back door on this next play, and boom, we got it. Let's go with a certain play to get Chris Johnson a 3, and everything was just clicking. The timing and the way that we played was one of which we were at a high level that game, and the confidence level was an all-time high, and different players stepped up, whether it be Chris Johnson making 3s, Lawrence Perrigan, Kevin Roth, Damani Corbin, but then you look at a kid like Durrett Miles who had a terrific game for us, and really everybody contributed that got in to play that day. Well, I would say the signature play was the one where the shot clock was going down and we called timeout with about 16 seconds on the shot clock. It was our last timeout, and it was a situation where I felt like we needed to get a basket. If we could get one more basket, we're going to win the game. And Syracuse was playing zone, every baseline out of bounds play, so we knew we could throw the ball in and run a zone play, which we had tried earlier in the game. The alley-oop was open, but we just didn't have the confidence to throw it. Normally when we run this play, we throw it over the backboard. So that just tells you the type of game it was. I had enough confidence to feel like the only basket we could get would be to try to go over the top. Damani Corbin put it up there. Lawrence had the dunk. And that was a signature play. That was the one that Moyne's going to win this game. The ironic thing was that within 40 seconds, Syracuse had a 2-point lead, and everything had fallen apart. And at that point, I thought the guys stayed together a lot better than I did. I can remember being in the timeout totally rattled in trying to keep the guys together, but in my mind, I had felt that the game was over. So we called a play, and the play for Chris Johnson was actually a man-to-man play. Syracuse went to a zone, and Kevin Roth was the unsung hero because he changed an angle of a screen that allowed Chris Johnson to get a shot from the wing, as opposed to the play itself. Chris was supposed to get it at the top of the key. If he had run that play, Syracuse would have defended it really easily. But the play by Kevin Roth to Flair and Chris Johnson, obviously being in a zone that game, knocking down the three, became the signature play. But I thought the game should have been over 50 seconds before that with Lawrence's dunk. Well, the game itself, it's an amazing game. Just watch it. And that's the sad thing, is that a lot of people just saw the highlights of the game, but the whole game itself, there was so much drama that played out, and it was an amazing game to be a part of. And to win that game, and for it to be an exhibition, I think that's the best part about it in some ways, is that, yeah, the game didn't count. But you know what? When you go and you play pickup basketball, those games technically don't count either, but they're keeping score. And you want to win anytime you keep score. And that's what you teach kids, that it shouldn't matter, what you're doing. You are who you are when no one else is around. And in a sense, that game was nothing, but to everybody that was on the floor, everyone was playing with a lot of pride. The Syracuse players had a lot of pride. Think about how good that team is. They were possibly the best team in the country that year, had Arenze not gone down. There were pros on the floor. Lawrence Perrigan was a pro. It was an amazing game to be a part of. And for Lemoyne to get that win, definitely a sense of pride throughout the community, and a sense of pride for all the people that are Lemoyne graduates that support Syracuse, that say, hey, we support you. We're in this community, but I graduated from Lemoyne, and today recognize who we are, recognize what we're doing. And I think that's the thing that we did. We shined a spotlight on the heights as opposed to the hill. The day in between the World Series, when there wasn't football on a Tuesday night, when there was election going on and people were home. There's so many stories that came out. It was the only show in town for New York State, in a sense. Every bar in New York City was looking for a sports game to put on. That was the game. My phone went crazy after the game. Facebook was blowing up even though I wasn't on it. But to be able to be recognized and on television shows like ESPN First Take, and to be on nationwide radio shows was something that was an amazing thing to be a part of, something that I don't think anyone associated with it will ever forget. And the nice thing is, it's something fun to look back on, but to know that we've moved forward, each and every person on that team, as coaches, as a program, we've accomplished better things than beating Syracuse since then. And our players have gone on to graduate and do better things than just have a game. So those are the things that I take, that I feel there's so much more that we should celebrate and what we're doing here at Lemoyne.